Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us. It's Saturday, March the 9th. We're live down here at WCCO. As you can see, we've got a full house today. Excited, again, here every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. The show is hosted by Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate Team, REMAX Advantage Plus. In studio with us, Ruben Seltzman, owner of Structure Tech. I've got a lot of great stuff to talk about, and you are welcome to join us either by commenting on the social media stream, wherever you're seeing us, or 612-294-6949 by phone or text. That comes to us right in the studio. We are here down at WCCO every Saturday morning. Scott, Mike, Ruben, good morning, guys.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're going to get at it here in about a minute.
Yeah.
And we do talk everything real estate related. We do always have a fun question for the week, just something non-real estate related to get your brain thinking. So this week it is, what would be your last meal? What would be your last meal? So if you could choose your last meal, not because you're dying or anything, just because you would like your favorite last meal, what would it be?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Pete. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We're getting ready to go live on air. A lot to talk about. Mike, I think we got some good news this week in mortgages.
We did get some good news, more good news. So 2 weeks in a row now, rates have kind of drifted downwards. So, and you can feel it. You can see the applications starting to come in a little bit more. It's so crazy how that works, but we'll talk about that when we go on the air as well.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949. Ruben, good to have you, buddy.
Good to be here. Good to see you, Ryan. Love it. Glad we get to do this in person.
I was saying, Ruben, every time I hang out with these guys, they make me feel like I got to work out more. You're going to give Mike a run for his money, I think.
I don't know. I heard what's going on here, and I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Mike normally has a Quest cookie. I see no Quest cookies this morning.
I ate it on the way here. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. The wrapper's on my truck right now.
All right, guys. Hey, all right, we're going live on air on WCCO. Again, thanks for joining us, everybody. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us. And top of the morning to you here, March 9th, 2024. We are live down at WCCO every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team and REMAX Advantage Plus. Hope your weekend, again, is starting off well, and this is a live real estate show. We welcome your questions, 612-294-6949 anytime throughout the show. That comes to us right down at the studio, 612-294-6949. Scott, Mike, good morning to you guys. Great to see you.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're here to the top of the hour. Interactive show. Love your questions, comments. You can either text us 612-294-6949 or call and go on live on air. We love your comments. We also have a fun question we do every week. This week, what would your last meal be? If you could choose your last meal, what would it be, and maybe why? Maybe it's a family recipe. So let us know.
Yeah, we do like to have a little fun here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We again are a local real estate team. We help people buy homes, sell homes, invest in real estate. But we've done this show for over 15 years here in the Twin Cities. And so most importantly, we're here to provide good information for you, to help you make informed decisions, buying, selling, investing, refinancing, whatever it might be. And Mike Overson, Illuminate Home Loans, we always like to do a mortgage update first segment. Some good news, bud.
Some good news. Second week in a row now, rates have drifted downwards. And, if we go back 2 weeks, we were talking about 7 and 7.125 for interest rates just yesterday, which was Friday. We're talking about, 6.5, maybe even 6.375 in a couple of instances. So a nice little drop in rates. We go back to February 1st. February 1st rates were at 6.375, and then went all the way up to 7.125, and now they're back down here in early March down to that 6.375 mark. So we spoke about it. We go throughout the rest of the year. Rates are probably going to drift down further. It's never a straight line, right? So we just saw one of our little waves. We were at the top of the wave 2 weeks ago. Now we're kind of at the bottom, and I think that this trend will continue, and we'll just see rates drift lower as we go throughout the year.
Yeah, because we had our prediction. So my prediction, and I have absolutely no skill whatsoever in the mortgage end of it, just on a feeling, I predicted that we'd be in the 5s by the end of April. And you had picked, no, I said the high 4s. You had said the high 5s.
I said high 5s.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll share some stats here, real estate wise, a real estate update in the Twin Cities. Some interesting numbers, listings or new homes for sale in the Twin Cities up pretty significantly, almost a 50% increase in listings, 1,138 new properties that came onto the market. Pending sales, this is also welcome news, up 7% year over year. There were 799 pending sales. And then the inventory is starting to slowly increase. We're still at historical lows. So very, very low inventory of homes for sale in the Twin Cities, but it is up almost 6% year over year. And the sales price, median sales price, is up slightly, 3.1% year over year to 352,000. Scott, it's nice to see a little bit more inventory. Nice to see more pending sales. 2023 was a year I think most people in the real estate world want to forget.
Yeah, it was a tough year. I think across the board it ranges somewhere between 20 to 26% down, and this is going to be a good year. Rates are going to get comfortable again. I watched the president speak the other night, and he made a comment that I disagree with, that home prices need to come down. And I don't agree with that. I think we've been flat. I mean, I know that it says we've been increasing 3-4% a year. Obviously we had, a couple of years at, 12% where we got to the numbers we're at. But I think most of that appreciation is under $500,000. I think the $550,000 to $1 million has been pretty flat for the last couple of years. And I think we're going to probably stay there. So I don't think we need to have prices come down. I think we just need to stay at a real comfortable 1, 2, 3% appreciation, and then have rates come back to where our affordability makes sense, because right now it's tough.
Yeah, and I don't think prices are going to be coming down. Again, when we talk to our friends at the different real estate brokerages in town, different agents, again, very low inventory, a lot of people looking to buy. We're already seeing multiple offers. We're going to be talking here after the break with Ruben Saltzman, the owner of Structure Tech, about what he's seeing, what he and Structure Tech, they're a very well-known home inspection company here. Hey, there we go. Keeping us on our toes there, right? That's good. Nothing wrong with that, Mike. I thought that was Mike talking there, but again, Mike, it is. I know you're starting to see more mortgage applications.
We are, yeah, and it's so crazy. It's like we get up to the 7s, and mortgage applications slow way down. We get back down on 6s, and here they start coming back in again. And I think it's an affordability deal. It's like people look at home prices. Well, home prices aren't going to change. We're only at 6,500 homes right now for listings. And that's super low. Even if we doubled it, even if we tripled it, if we tripled 6,500, we'd be about at an even market.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, 18,000. Yeah.
But when's the last time we even hit 10,000 listings?
Well, remember, we had a bet. It was 2 years ago. I remember it was 2 years ago where we thought, are we going to get to 10? And I think we got to like 9,800 by like November 30th, and then it dropped back down again.
Right.
It was the kind of the end of the year. We were still giving a shot. Didn't happen, and then they withdrew it. But yeah, that's going to be the market.
Yeah. Again, first break, guys. We're already up against it here. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're live every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on WCCO. We also stream it on your favorite social media channel: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you might like going. Feel free to join us there. We keep the discussion going throughout the entire hour on social media. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Yeah, thanks for so many folks for joining us. Got to say hello to some friends. Ram, thank you so much. He's overseas. He's from Gambia.
Oh my gosh.
Joining us, a very good guy. Thank you so much. Hope you and your family are doing well. Pete Schrader, longtime listener. Thank you so much. Bill Ebert. Ruben, you are no stranger to the radio. Ruben was a longtime partner with Charles Thayer
Yep.
In his show, and you hosted that for him a lot of times.
Yeah, it was always nerve-wracking. I think I'd sweat through my shirt before we went on the air every time. It was
Yes.
always just it was tough to do, but once he got in the groove, it's like, all right, this isn't that bad, but it was just leading up to it.
We kind of preferred it when you hosted it. Charles, and if Charles sees this, he knows Ruben's got a ton of skill. But you guys, that was a fun show, and I like it because, again, tell people about Structure Tech. Tell people about what you're doing.
Yeah, we are a home inspection company. We've grown to be the largest home inspection company in Minnesota here.
Yep.
Continual growth, just adding on inspectors as we can. For a while, it was almost like uncontrolled growth. I mean, leading up to last year, maybe even 2022, we were adding people as fast as we possibly could. But then the market kind of corrected a little bit, and then people started foregoing inspections, and the market kind of withdrew. So we're not quite as big as we were a few years ago, but I feel like we've right-sized.
When did you start the business?
We need to be. My dad purchased this business. It was started in 87.
Oh,
He purchased it in 97.
Wow.
And that's when I started working with him.
yeah.
I was just telling Scott in the lobby before, and I've been with the company since. And then I bought him out, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago, something like that. He still works in the company.
Oh.
So it's very much a family company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, Brandy. Thanks for the comment. Says hello. She says, do you guys work with tiny houses at all? There is kind of the trend with the tiny house movement. Mike, how does that work from a financing standpoint, the tiny houses?
I've never personally done a tiny house. Are they on permanent foundations?
They are.
Some are,
Well,
some
some are.
are, some are,
Yeah,
some
some
are
are,
not.
some
Some
are not.
they'll put in different locations.
So that's a big deal, right? It's if it's not on a permanent foundation, you can just take that thing and move it, and now
Sure.
the collateral of the loan just changed, right?
Mm.
So the biggest thing is it on a permanent foundation, and are there comps? Usually that's the biggest thing. There's no sold comps for them. So how do you get an appraisal done so you know what a market will pay for them? So it's tougher on the financing end side of things. There's people out there that will finance them, but it's completely different from your standard mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it. About 15 years ago, we had a woman that called in that said, "Do I live in a trailer or do I live in a manufactured home? One has a foundation, the other one doesn't." I said, "Well, go in your basement. If you see a axle, you live in a trailer.
Sure.
If you don't," and it's kind of the same thing here. It's like if you can pick it up and put it somewhere else, it's a really nice fish house,
Right.
But if it's got a foundation, maybe you could.
It's fun though. Thanks, Brandy, for joining us. I've seen the shows too. Super cool, kind of fun. You see families that will take these homes and put them in different places, and kind of more minimalistic type of behavior.
The ones I think are really cool. Same concept. They're a little bit bigger because there's multiple ones. Is the storage, or not the storage units, but
Containers.
containers.
Yeah.
I think those are super cool.
Have you seen
Yeah.
those too, Ruben?
Yeah. I've seen them in some trade journals trying to get code approval to build houses like this and have the code kind of recognize that. I don't think we're there yet,
No.
but they're
they
pushing for it.
Yeah, and they normally do them as a U. So they got one side, a back, and then they normally build something in the middle. They're kind of neat looking.
Yeah. Super cool. Here we go. We're going back live on air. WCCO. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We do appreciate it. Hope your weekend's going well. Always got to give a nice shout out to our friend, Mr. Dennis, who comes in every Saturday morning to deal with us here down at WCCO. We're grateful for Dennis and his kind work producing the show. Did have a question, text message, Mike, that had come in, said, question for Mike. How long is the pre-approval good with Mike's company? How long is the pre-approval good for your company?
So credit reports are good for 120 days. So when you get your credit pulled, that pre-approval is usually good for 120 days after the date that the credit report was pulled. Now, if something changes with your employment, income, assets, or credit during those 120 days, that's going to change your pre-approval, right? We're pre-approving you based on your current income, your current job, this and that. If any of that changes in the 120 days, you got to update that pre-approval. But short answer, 120 days.
120 days. Hey, every week we have a preferred partner at mnrealestateshow.com. Someone who we have worked with for a long time in the industry, someone who we know, who we respect, who's got a great business. Today in studio, excited to have Mr. Ruben Saltzman, the owner of Structure Tech. Wonderful guy, largest home inspection company in the Twin Cities right now. Longtime radio personality on Mr. Charles Thayer show as
Woo!
well.
Great guy.
Ruben, good morning. Good to have you, buddy.
Morning, Ryan. How you doing?
Yeah, we appreciate it. Before the show, I just think about life, how busy life is. I was looking, Ruben has his laptop here in the studio, and he opened up, you could see his Google Calendar, Outlook calendar.
It's
And
crazy.
there were like 14 things on every day.
yes, that's the family calendar. I don't know how people keep track of their family calendar without having it digital. I remember the days of having the one on our refrigerator, and there'd be like one thing a day.
Right?
It's crazy
Why
how
don't we
busy our
go back
lives
to
get.
that?
Oh, I mean, wasn't it a nicer time?
Right?
I mean,
it was slower.
it was just slower. I mean,
Yeah.
I get uncomfortable if I don't return a text or an email in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you'd go to your office, you'd get your notes. Oh, these people called in, you'd call them back. We didn't even have voicemail in '97.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit different, better time, I think.
So we're obviously coming up to springtime again. Ruben, tell people a little bit about Structure Tech. I think the history is really cool as well, and how long you've been with the company.
Sure. Well, the company was started in '87, and then my dad got into home inspection shortly after that. And then he was a one-man shop for a long time, and then he bought Structure Tech in '97. So he didn't start it. I didn't start it. And I started with him, working with him in the company when he bought it in '97. So that's when I got my feet wet in the home inspection field. And I was telling Scott earlier, we were standing in the lobby. When I first started doing home inspections, it was a few years after that, I'd show up eventually once I was trained to do it. And people would say, so is your dad coming? Because, I didn't have any of this gray hair. I was a young buck. And they're like, you're not doing the inspection, are you?
Oh, no.
It'd take a long time for me to win people over, but
So
finally
how,
got them.
How many years did you do the inspections yourself like that? In that case?
I don't know, probably about 15 years. I'm not doing inspections myself in the field anymore.
Sure.
Still go along when I can with other inspectors on my team. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and I still have fun getting out in the field. It's my
Yeah.
favorite thing to do.
So talk a little bit about, you've got a nice checklist for listeners today, a little bit of an idea. Springtime, tell us what's cooking.
Yeah, well, spring is here. It feels like spring's been here for a couple of
Yeah, I
months
know.
now,
It's
even though
so
it's not
nice.
official. And we always share this huge fall checklist, but I thought we need to do a spring checklist. It's really easy. There's not a lot of stuff to do, but I'd say maybe like numbers 1, 2, and 3 on your checklist should be taking a look at your sump pump.
Yeah.
If you've got a sump basket in your basement, you got this pump that pumps water out of there. Spring rains are coming. It's important to make sure that it's functional. So
Yeah.
go down there and test it.
Well, and for those of us that spend so much time with their sump pump, it gets tiring to always be down there, but you should do it again.
Scott.
I mean, I know my sump pump so
So-
well, but
Yeah.
I know we've this has come up on over the years on other shows. So what do you recommend with the sump pump with people, when it is super cold and the tube is frozen?
Ryan, you
Seriously.
hit a very important point there.
That wasn't
I-
planned either.
No, because I have had several neighbors on my street end up with flooded basements
Yeah.
because of exactly what you're describing.
Yeah.
That's such a key point. And then just if anybody's not following, a lot of people have this big long corrugated tube that runs out their house so
Yeah.
you don't dump the water right next to your foundation. And if you leave that on there in the winter, it's gonna fill up with water. It's gonna turn to ice. Water's not gonna be able to get anywhere. And then eventually your pump needs to kick on. It can't go anywhere. And then your basement floods.
Hmm.
So that's a critical thing. You need to take that thing off in the fall. But we're already past that. If you just moved into a house, if you bought a house over the winter time, you probably don't have this big long extension thing on the outside of your house. It's time to find it and put it back on.
So what do you do then, with that water coming out being discharged right close to the house?
Well, you put an extension on your pipe. It's going to be this corrugated tubing. It goes on the end of that pipe that sticks out the side of your house, and they're cheap. I mean, you can get them at the home improvement store for $20 or less.
Yeah.
You take a little hose clamp, you zip it onto that pipe, and then, dump it over in your neighbor's yard or something. No, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Maybe don't do that, but dump it down to a low spot where it's not going to drain back towards your house.
And you know what you're saying is so correct. As you're talking, I'm thinking about all the clients through the years. If you've ever been somebody that has had a sump pump that has failed and you didn't have a backup, or the backup failed,
yeah,
and your basement floods, you will never buy another house again that has water in that sump basket. I mean, I've had clients that are like, first thing they do, they go down, they look at the sump basket. If there's water in it, they're out.
Oh,
so
wow.
It gets tough because you get burned once, and you can tell them, well, this one's guaranteed and it's not going to fail. They're like, I've done it.
So Ruben, and to Scott's point, if you take the hose off,
Yep.
as you described,
Yep.
then during the winter, with that water being discharged closely to the house,
Mhm.
what do you do then?
Well, the good news is that the ground is going to be frozen. Typically, that ground is just going to run along the surface of the ground. It's not going to come back into your house. And typically in the winter, you're not going to have your pump kicking on a lot. Most of the ground is frozen. You don't have water coming in.
Yeah.
So it's okay to not have an extension in the winter.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
Not
Makes
a big
sense.
deal.
What else you got on our? You're full of good checklist items for homeowners.
Well, Mike brings up an important concern. What about if you do have water in there? And I'd say the last couple of houses that I've lived in, I've had an active sump system where I rely on it to get that water out. But it's important to have a backup system if you have that. And it could just be an alarm to let you know that your pump has failed. Just a high water alarm. They cost about $10. But if you really want to be sure about it, put in a backup pump. And it's going to be powered by basically a car battery. It's a 12-volt battery that sits outside. It's not that big of a deal to install it. It might take an hour or two on the weekend. There's some fantastic YouTube videos out there showing you how to do it. I consider this very much to be a DIY project for homeowners. So if you don't have a backup sump pump and you got an active system, put one in. Put that on your honey-do list for this spring.
Very nice. Very nice. What else on that spring list? I know you got a lot of goodies there.
We got so many. No, all right. It's just short. I said it's short. We'll keep it short. Maintain your water around the outside. Try to not have your sump pump do all this work. And it starts at the top. After the water hits your roof, where does it go? It's going to go in your gutters. Did you remember to clean all the leaves out of your gutters in the fall? A lot of people missed a few. Get up there, clean out your gutters. Make sure your downspout extensions are properly installed and they're running way away from the house. I don't know what it is, but those extensions magically get disconnected some point during the winter. So reconnect all them, get all that water going away. So we're managing all the water at the outside.
Yep.
And then a couple other little things. So I told you I'd make this easy. If you took off the insect screens in the fall, I love to do that. I like my windows, clear throughout the winter.
Sure.
Put your insect screens back on.
I didn't even know I had insect screens.
You-
Screens. What are they? I mean, just a screen?
Screen.
Oh, just a screen. I thought,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was like an extra thing I don't even
Yeah.
know about. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Sorry, screens, whatever.
screens.
You're taking your
Storm
screens off.
windows,
Got it,
maybe.
Yeah,
got
there
it,
you go.
got
If
it,
you got a
yeah.
really old house,
Makes sense.
de-winterize the outside faucets. Get the water turned back on. You should have winterized them in the fall.
And by the way, with that, I was talking to a friend, a plumber friend. Isn't there a specific spigot now they can do this? Where I'm trying to remember the name that he called it. Where
Frost free.
Yes, but where it allows people so they don't have to turn the water off.
Yeah, that is a frost-free faucet.
Yeah.
And the idea is when you turn the valve off, it actually shuts off the flow of water back inside the frost line in your house. So
That's
you
a
don't need to
whammy.
winterize
Yeah,
it.
that's a
And
good
those are required by code today. If you build a new house in Minnesota, that's the only type of faucet that can be installed is a frost-free faucet, provided it's properly installed.
Hey, I got a question for you, not to interrupt before our break. Maybe we can talk about it after the break. What's your feeling on, because it's split a lot of times. What's your feeling on having an upstairs laundry that has a drain and that does not have a drain? Maybe we'll talk about that when we get back.
Okay.
Upstairs laundry.
Oh, I got thoughts.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I've
all right,
said
all right.
everybody.
Thanks for teasing it.
Everybody's split on this in this hot topic.
All right.
Ruben Saltzman, Structure Tech. Hey, we appreciate you joining us here. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Feel free to interrupt us by phone or text 612-294-6949 or on social media as well. We've got a lot to talk about, some featured listings after the break to hit as well. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show on WCCO. Really good stuff,
stuff.
Ruben.
Love it.
Ruben Saltzman, Structure Tech, the water. You're talking about everything water.
Yeah.
It's
That-
all
that's
about
the
water,
biggest
isn't
thing.
it?
You don't want water in your basement. And I'll tell you guys, I talk about that frozen discharge tube. I had that happen to me personally.
Yeah.
There was
Me too.
one year where I forgot to take it off. I had my office set up in the basement. I go down there first thing in the morning. I'm doing my thing in the morning. I'm hearing this whirring sound. I'm like, what is that humming? I go check my sump basket. I take the cover off. There's water steaming up out of there.
Oh, my
Because
God.
the pump
Oh, no,
had been
dude.
running all night trying to pump water out of there. It was frozen. I didn't end up with a flooded basement, but I think I shaved about 10 years off the life of my pump. And the
Right.
pump ended up failing like later that
We've
year.
been guilty of both.
I was going to say
Yeah.
you'll love this story, Ruben. So I'll make it quick. But years ago, probably 5-6 years ago, we built a new home in Linden Hills. Linden Hills is over in 1800. Or I'm sorry, in the 1800s it was all swampland.
Uh-huh.
And so whenever you build a house in Linden Hills, you have to do a piling test where you drill down and make sure that the soil that you're building on is fine so that it can hold the house. And so we did all that. Great. So we built the house. I'm actually on the radio show, and we're having a 4th of July neighborhood picnic for all the neighbors.
Oh.
And I get a call, and it's the first showing on the house, $1.5 million. First showing on the house, and so there's 6 feet of water in the basement.
no.
And I said, what are you talking about? So I, anyways, went over there, and what had happened is something had happened where it failed. The sump pump couldn't put up with it.
Yeah.
So we had thousands and thousands of gallons of water, being pumped into this house. We could not figure what it was. Was it a broken city vein? Was it?
Oh no.
So anyways, for months, we had thousands of water pouring into the alley.
a lot of water.
Well, of course, I couldn't sell the house. So we ended up having $1.5 million rental after we put in a commercial sump system that you'd have in a hotel.
Holy
And so
cow.
people could
Wow.
know that it worked. So after 5 years, we sold it and somebody bought it. But I mean, it was the water house. I mean,
He actually
oh.
took the house down and just put a pool in.
I put a tiny house there.
So where exactly was it? Was it by the river?
It was in Linden Hills. And
Okay.
so
Yeah,
what it
you
was,
said that.
what it was a broken, when we built it over time, it just released a spring
Yeah.
underneath it. So the spring was just, so literally we had to raise the floor of the house 16 inches and then put in the sump basket or the sump pump, like I said, for a hotel, and it worked.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
just sell it like with you've got a basement pool, indoor pool.
Yeah,
in the
indoor pool.
basement.
That's right. Yeah, we
Water
tried.
feature.
We tried putting some koi in there and a little duck boat. But
Here's a good
didn't
question.
work.
Happened. A good question that came in. How do I know the knowledge level of my home inspector?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd say, well, there's a few things. Number one, there is no licensing for home inspections in Minnesota.
No
Anybody
licensing?
can do it. You guys can all call yourselves
Yep.
home inspectors today. There are organizations that home inspectors can join. There's one called Internachi. There's another one called ASHI. There's also a national exam that a home inspector can take, and it's called the National Home Inspector Exam. It is nationally administered. It's used in about 2/3 of the states
Mm,
that require licensing.
yeah,
I mean, it's used all over. This is kind of the benchmark,
yeah.
and I'm a big proponent of that because
Yeah.
I'm actually a director for that organization. So we meet together, we come up with the exam questions and all that. So I mean, I'd say at a minimum, look for somebody who has passed the National Home Inspector exam.
Do you think Scott could become a home inspector?
I think he absolutely could. You know, it
Here we
might
go.
be-
We're
No, I
going.
know the difference between a bug screen and a regular screen.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We're on WCCO every Saturday morning, 10 to 11. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. Hey, welcome back to the second half of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate you joining us every week. Here, would like to feature some of our listings. Miss Jen Brenning, outstanding agent with the Minnesota real estate team, Remax Advantage Plus. She's got one in Lakeville, 16026 Inglewood Court in Lakeville for $450,000. It is a updated 5-bed, 3-bath home. It's got an office, 3-season porch, hardwood floors throughout the main level, a nicely remodeled kitchen, lots of natural light, and over a ½ acre with a fully fenced yard. That one is again 16026 Inglewood Court in Lakeville for $450,000. And then one other one here, guys. Michelle Erickson has one in Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, 4301 43rd Avenue South for $349,900. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, 2-car garage home. It's a corner lot. It's just blocks from Minnehaha Falls. And it is, again, also across the street from a park. Nicely fenced backyard, Scott. And the seller is open to doing a contract for deed, which is a great option for buyers. Tomorrow, there will be an open house Sunday from 12 to 3. Michelle Erickson with the Minnesota real estate team and Remax Advantage Plus will be there, $349,900. Some nice listings. Nice listings, Scott.
Yeah, that sounds great. Maybe we'll get to our fun question of the week and get some answers out there. So what would your last meal be? If you could pick your last meal, what would it be? I'll tell you what mine would be. Maybe get this off. It would be king crab. King crab is our kind of family go-to thing. And then a salad that is called wilted lettuce.
Ooh.
So if you're out there, this is very easy. Trust me, write this down. You fill a cup with sugar and vinegar. You get endive salad, red onions. You get bacon grease with bacon. You pour the bacon grease over the lettuce. That's the wilted part.
Okay.
Then you pour the vinegar and sugar on it. And you're thinking, that sounds gross. Trust me. My kids would rather eat that than the king crab. It's good.
Wow. Sounds very tasty. Had a text come in from Mr. Mike Hilber, outstanding agent. He said his last dinner choice would be Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Oh, my goodness.
Add a
Mike.
little extra milk and Velveeta. Mike Hilber says he is healthy.
Cheap date. You're a cheap date, Mike.
Mike, how about Mike? I want to see him. I want to hear
And if
Mike
you say
Overson.
Quest cookie and
Yeah.
grilled chicken, I'm going to puke.
Mike Overson is the definition of health.
No, so it's I got a sweet tooth, so I would do my wife makes protein pancakes that are super good. Our kids love, everyone loves them. So it's protein pancakes with peanut butter and then syrup on top of it. And then she also makes very good scalloped potatoes. So then I would have that on the menu as well. And then to wash it all down, it'd be a DQ Blizzard, cookie dough blizzard from DQ.
Yeah, there
Mike,
you go.
you thought
There
about
you go.
this.
Yes.
That was like a rehearsed.
It's like what are the things that I only like eat like once or twice a year? It's like that's what I'd have. So it's easy.
Hey, before we get to Ruben and mine, I do want to hit the rest of Ruben's list as well. We're talking about for homeowners, existing homeowners with things to be aware of here in the springtime. Anything else in the house, Ruben, that people should be thinking about?
All right. Well, I want to get to Scott's question before that we teased, but before we do that, I guess we'll finish this list. We'll make it quick. We talked about dewinterizing your outside faucets, your dryer duct. Check your dryer duct, clean it, clean the terminal. You've been running it all winter. Make sure that you don't have a bunch of lint blocking the opening. Check your air conditioner. If the previous owner put a cover on there, if you happen to put a cover on there, take that cover off. I'm not a huge fan of putting a cover on there to start with, but whatever you do, don't run your air conditioner with a cover on it. And now's a good time to think about having a tune-up done on your AC. Don't wait until it's 100 degrees and the thing conks out and then you're miserable for a couple days. Do it now, and you'll probably pay a better price for it now. And then finally, for your furnace, check your furnace filter. For most houses in Minnesota, you've got a split system where the air conditioner uses the furnace's blower fan. It's all the same air going through the house. So you still need to replace your furnace filter, whether it's summer or winter. That's it.
Yeah, what do you think, Mike?
Quick question, blowing out your dryer vent. So I saw a guy on YouTube, it was a YouTube short, took his dryer away from the wall and grabbed his leaf blower.
That's what I do. That's
stuck
what
it in there and
that's
blow
what
it
I
out.
use.
Recommended or?
Love it.
Yeah, that's
Love
what
it.
I do.
Very
Really?
effective. Yeah, that'll do it.
That's exactly. And you know what? You brought that up, Ruben. And from the other side, from a listing agent standpoint, everything you just talked about is kind of the list I give my sellers before the inspection. Because even if there's nothing wrong on the inspection, if a buyer goes through and the furnace filter is not changed, the dryer vent is all plugged up, it just gives the overall feeling of a buyer that this house was not really taken care of. Even if there's not like a big thing that comes out, they just kind of get that icky feeling.
Yeah. We got a euphemism in the home inspection field we use for that. It's called deferred maintenance.
Yes.
and what we mean is they didn't take care of their house.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
exactly.
we had John. John commented, texted in. He said John from Michigan said his last meal would be my dad's pot roast.
Ooh.
Yeah, very nice. That
Yum.
sounds
That's a good one because it varies from extremely horrible to just incredible. pot
Mhm.
roast.
yeah, very fun stuff. Again, every Saturday we're here from 10 to 11. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. If you are a buyer, a seller, investor in real estate, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We've got a top agent on the Minnesota Real Estate team, wherever you might be listening to the show. Again, excited to have Mike and Scott, excited to have Ruben on board with us. Ruben is someone that we've all known for a very long time in the industry. And again, literally the largest home inspection company now in Minnesota. Ruben, again, I always remember seeing like you wrote a lot of articles for the Star Tribune. You've done a lot of stuff, a lot of information stuff to help people with kind of no agenda.
Yeah, I think we stole another real estate's tagline. They used to say they were an education company disguised as a real estate company. We kind of say the same thing. We're an
Yeah.
education company disguised as a home inspection company.
Yeah.
And that is my day-to-day activity, is pumping out content, educating people about their houses, educating other home inspectors on doing better home inspections. And we do that through our podcast, do a weekly blog, do a ton of YouTube videos, all that stuff. It's all about education. We love
cool.
teaching people about houses.
Hey, we had a nice comment. Our friend Jen Dane, a kind friend, said, "Be sure everybody to set your clocks ahead tonight." Really important. That is a good reminder. Thank you, Jen. Thanks for joining us. Mark DePonte, a fellow agent and broker, joining us on social media, and Brandy as well said she was for her last meal, her mother's southern smothered steak
Oh, yum.
over rice and a side of sweet corn.
Yum.
Oh, that
Sounds
sounds
great.
good.
That's
Sounds
it.
good.
That's it. Yeah, that is. Jen's from Houston, so all that Southern she makes, it's incredible.
Hey, Ruben, what is your last meal?
All right, so I switched over like this whole food plant-based diet. So
Which
I
is
don't
actually
eat
great.
a lot of food that I used to love. So mine would be, I think I'd tack on the king crab, and it would be everything that they serve at a Brazilian steakhouse. And I would have the steak and the chicken and the sausage, all meat, basically. all these animal products that I don't eat anymore. I would gorge myself.
You know, it is interesting, not to bore people with the physical part of it, but Mike knows this as well. Protein from plants and protein from plant-based food is much more efficient than it is from my old school way, which is chicken, steak. And a lot of bodybuilders have actually gone to that.
Hey, we did have a text message question come in. This one looks like it's for Mike, saying, "Are you seeing more FHA and VA offers accepted in a multiple offer situations?" Mike.
No, we go back to November, December, January. We had a fair amount of VAs and FHAs going. You talk about, look at our March pipeline and our April pipeline, one VA, and that's it, I think.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's what we're going to see moving forward.
That's too bad.
Well, you know what though, Mike, you know, we don't talk about this a lot, but I think we should. For anybody out there that is going to be buying a house, or maybe you have a kid getting out of college and they're going to be getting into it, you hit on a great point. If you are an entry-level buyer right now in this market, because everything goes to multiple offers, very, very hard to compete with a 3% down conventional, 5% down, 10% down conventional. So Mike has a program where we just turn all of our buyers into cash. So if you qualify, if you're conventional and there's some other stipulations, you can actually put in a cash offer, which means you're going to get the house for the most part. And then basically the loan goes over. You can talk about it, but it really is good, and people are using it left and right.
Yeah, let's hit that after the break, if that's okay, Mike. We did have one other one. Father Dennis in Afton said his last meal would be a giant steak, followed by 2 buckets of Sweet Martha's chocolate chip.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a good call.
Thank you, Father Dennis. Thanks for listening to the show. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Fun question, Scott. That's a good one. People last meal. But Mike,
buckets.
maybe you can hit on it a little bit during social media time with that cash offer.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, to simplify it as much as possible, we'll go buy that house for you that you want to buy with a cash offer, and we'll just turn around and sell it back to you at the same price we bought it for.
That's as easy as it is. And you know, and if you're listening, you're like, it can't be that easy. It's that easy. So if you and you know, there's obviously a cost, but the cost of doing the product is much less than trying to get a 5% down conventional in on a $400,000 house. So to put that in context for people, if you're a 5% down conventional and you write 410, and you have a cash buyer or a 20% buyer that's at 400, the majority of the time the seller is going to go for that cash offer because they don't have an appraisal, they don't have the issue, and so it's very hard to get that through. So in my opinion, using the cash offer to get a house costs you way less than what you would have to pay for the house, with just paying the small fee.
How spendy though, Mike? It's a fees wise for people.
So, so the fee is anywhere between 1% and 2%, depending on what your situation. Do you have a house to sell? Do you not have a house to sell?
Yep.
And then if we close on the cash offer, they have to just reimburse us for the closing costs that we pay to buy the house, and then the closing costs we pay to sell the house back to them. So, example, $400,000 house, your total cost for this program with everything is going to be 10, maybe 11,000, something like that.
And I can tell you right now, if you're a 5% down conventional, you're going to have to pay way more than 10 grand to get anybody to look at your offer. I mean, that's the harsh reality. It's just
hard.
true.
Again, if you're a buyer out there and you're hearing this, or you know someone that's a first-time home buyer, or you're buying in that price range, again, because there's such limited supply, because there's so much demand, sellers hold all the leverage. And so that's why Mike and his company offer something like this as a way to try to help you. And that's, it's too bad, Mike. So one VA, any FHA have you seen?
None right now. I'm looking at our pipeline. In my entire branch, we have 0 FHAs going in March and April.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I'll piggyback on that a little bit. If you are in that situation and you're an FHA buyer, you can get an FHA through on new construction. Because obviously,
or VA too.
Or VA too, yeah, as well. Yeah. And so it doesn't mean that you can't buy a house, but just understand if you're buying new construction, you're paying a premium. So I go back to the fact that you had to buy new construction as a first-time home buyer, you're paying a premium. That premium is a heck of a lot more than if you just paid the little fee, bought a home, for the actual value.
Yep. Yeah, really good point. Again, Ruben Seltzman, Structure Tech, in-house today. Hey, how many times did you host the show for Charles?
Man, it probably half a dozen or so. It wasn't a ton, but everyone was a marathon because we switched over from doing live shows like this to pre-recording 4 or 5 shows at a time on a Wednesday. We did it once a month. So it would be a marathon. We'd be sitting in that studio all day.
Hey, we can't get Charles Thayer out to come out. So Charles, if you're seeing this,
Charles, where are you?
He's on that kind of roofing and siding schedule, the Monday through Friday, and never coming in on the weekend type of thing.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. It was kind of nice when we switched to doing it, so you didn't have to take out time on your Saturday.
We are here. We're actually here. It's not AI. This is not Mike Mike Overson AI.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be kind of fun? We got to figure that out.
Yeah,
I'm a live person. Yeah.
How can we AI the show?
That's right. Do you see all the conspiracy theorists saying that Biden's speech was AI? And he was just mouthing it because he didn't make any mistakes.
He had a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I saw a video clip where I'm like, no, that's definitely him up there.
Yeah. There we go, guys. We're going back live on air. AI. Maybe we should try that future weeks. Hello and welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we got 2 other listings. Got to hit these. Michelle Erickson has one in Farmington, 19901 Evensong Avenue for $499,900. It's a 2-story walkout in a great neighborhood. It's got a large open kitchen, a lot of windows, and a great stone fireplace. It backs up to the woods, and the walls are freshly painted. It's open today, Saturday, 12 to 3, down in Farmington, 19901 Evensong. And then one last one, Miss Lindsay Coy, my friend from New Prague, has got a great one in Lakeville, 20125 Hollister Lane in Lakeville for $339,000. It's a 3-bed, 3-bath, 3-level split end-unit townhome. It's got a huge sunroom, pond views, open layout, hardwood floors, stainless steel appliances. It's in the heart of Lakeville, near the shops and the parks. Check that one out, 20125 Hollister Lane in Lakeville for $339,000. Very nice listings. And we've been talking about our last meals here today. Yeah, but you're like, Ryan, what's my last meal? You know what? I love a good large hamburger, super salty with French fries, lots of salt, lots of ketchup, and I would just keep eating that for days. Seriously, I love salt. Like I just to douse the fries and the burger and the ketchup, Mike. Ooh, that sounds good.
I tell you every single week, Ryan, that's you need to eat that almost on a daily basis because you look thin.
You need a burger.
I'm like every time, go eat a cheeseburger, Ryan. That's like as I'm leaving the meeting, for the week, a team meeting.
Yeah.
Hey Ryan, I can see you. Go eat a cheeseburger.
Yeah, the salt thing is I've never put additional salt on anything.
Really?
Yeah, and Jen is like you. She just everything is just doused in salt. I've never even put salt on anything.
Well, fries, you have to.
You
They
really
already
have
they
to
already
cover
have
your-
salt on fries.
Yeah,
You
but
need
even
more.
more.
You need more. I'm
You
with
do
you, Ryan.
with the ketchup. I mean, even putting salt in the ketchup. You get the ketchup there, and
Yeah, my Jen puts salt
That's
on
next
apples.
level.
Yeah,
Like all this weird stuff.
well,
of,
salt
like,
on apples and salt on watermelon. That just makes sense. But yeah, I do put salt on apples and watermelon.
it doesn't make sense to me. I've never done that. Still doesn't make sense.
It's
to me.
good.
yeah, that's a little weird. Hey, it's been a fun show every Saturday. Again, we're here 10 to 11. We always have a fun question of the week. We've had Ruben Saltzman, Structure Tech, in-house today. Longtime company here in the Twin Cities. Again, all of our fellow friends, brokers at the various companies work with Structure Tech as well. Ruben, any thoughts, kind of last thoughts for people, whether it is agents in this market, homeowners, people to kind of be thinking about here as we move into April?
Yeah, if you're buying new construction, don't skip the home inspection. You'll have builders tell you it's already been inspected a million times by the city. You won't believe the stuff we still find that's done wrong. And we guarantee our service. If we do a home inspection and you don't think it was worth every penny, you don't have to pay us. Simple as that. And that applies to new construction too.
It's a good point. I would say that the majority of agents tell their buyers to not do an inspection on new construction. It's actually one that I insist every time, and the way that I like to do it, just as a thought out there for people, I like to have the inspection done right before the final walkthrough, so about a week before,
It's perfect.
and then you use it as a punch list. So, for example, you do your final walkthrough. The builder's reps are going to come through in about a week and fix everything that needs to be fixed. Well, this gives you a detailed list of everything that needs to be fixed.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about that because again, when you're buying new construction, you have to remember your real estate agent that you hire, they are not fact finders about the home itself. They are going to help you review a seller's disclosure. They're going to encourage you to work with a great company like a Ruben with Structure Tech. But I think sometimes, Ruben, people forget that they think the agent, well, hey, I've got an agent, but the agent is not doing what you're doing during the process.
No, there is so much. And the agent shouldn't be doing what we're doing. I mean, they'd be putting themselves in a really bad spot if they started doing home inspections. They could get sued for doing stuff and not finding it. That's why there's a whole separate profession to cover all of that.
Yeah, really good stuff. Scott, you got a thought there?
Oh, I got a question actually came in from an agent on the team. I won't say the name because I didn't read it, so I want to make sure there's nothing in there. But she said, I've got an animal that has chewed a hole in my chimney, and I could hear it all night. Do you have anybody that you would recommend that could fix this for her?
So chewed a hole
So there's an animal that chewed a hole in her chimney.
in her chimney.
She's scared. It sounds like a huge creature living in there. Do you know anybody that could fix it for her?
Oh,
And
wow.
I told her I'd say it on air.
Wow.
I don't.
Well, there's two possibilities. Either you need a chimney person to come out and fix this hole, get that repaired, and you may need a wildlife expert to come out and remove said critter, whatever
Ryan,
it is. I
Ryan.
don't know what you got.
Ryan's a wildlife expert.
Ryan, yeah, you could do it, couldn't
Hey.
you? Give your mobile number, Ryan.
Hey, we're up against the end of the show here.
Ran out of time.
Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans. Again, wonderful guy, great lender. They work all over. They're a local bank. They're also a bank here in Minnesota. Really great people, great folks. Mike, again, how can people plug in with you?
Very easy. Applywithmike.com. That's my direct website. You can contact me directly there. You can go to the show website, mnrealestateshow.com. And if you click on the partners, we're the mortgage partner on there, so you can find us at either one of those spots.
Yeah, Mike and his team really doing a nice job. Ruben, best way for people to connect with you?
Punch in Structure Tech on your Google machine. You will find us. You will definitely find us. Structure Tech. That's it.
Yeah, Structure Tech.
Very nice.
Indeed. Scott, last thoughts for folks?
No, I mean, I get excited about this buyer program that Mike has. Not to push that on people, but if you've listened to the show a lot, we're not trying to sell you anything. This is a great program for anyone that is less than 20%. And so if you're out there and you're losing in multiple offers and you're frustrated, reach out to us because we can help you.
Yeah, again, we appreciate you listening to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. It's been a fun show. If you are, again, a buyer, seller, investor, we would be honored to help you and your family, your referrals. Please don't hesitate to reach out anytime throughout the week. MN Real Estate Show is how you can connect with us. Or if you just simply have questions at all, we're happy to help however we can. Again, have a great weekend, everybody. And again, don't forget to set your clocks ahead tonight. Take care.
Awesome.
I like that ending song. Do you guys like that? It was kind of like a smooth jazz.
Yeah.
Who was that again?
I
Was that
can only
Grover?
imagine.
They didn't have their headphones.
Dennis, was that Grover?
I bet it was great.
I'm sure it was. Yeah, I'm sure it
Yeah,
was excellent.
Washington.
Grover.
Grover,
Hey,
Washington.
how about this guy? His debut on social media. We love Ruben, Structure Tech. What do you think, guys? I think we should have him back sometime.
I'd love to come back.
Yeah, actually, Mike and I were talking about maybe having him replace you as the host.
I mean,
Yeah, see how we're
better than
thinking?
you.
Yes, absolutely. We love it. We love it. Hey, it's been a fun show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back next weekend. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the warm weather.